The fourth industrial revolution started in 1760, and it was nonetheless than James Watt with his invention of the steam engine that made it all possible. The steam engine allowed for steamboats but also railways, and it changed everything as it has been before. The whole society, new jobs got created, new wealth got accumulated, and everything was flourishing. It was a great time. And then when we go further in our history lessons, we're going to come pretty soon to the next stage, which was basically the 1870s, where the start of the second industrial revolution is. And this was mainly contributed to electricity, which was the underlying layer that made it all possible. Second industrial revolution had many different phases, but electricity is the one that most would say made it all happen. Now, while I was reading up into this topic, it was very fascinating to actually learn that there was a huge time gap between the creation or the invention of electricity until they had the technology to produce it, centralize it, and distribute it over long distances. Now, when you look in Switzerland, historically, most of the manufacturing plants are built close to the rivers where they produced also their own electricity. Also, while I was reading up on this, I found a report that was talking about the electricity outages in Switzerland in 2014. Now, just for a second, think of a number total hours outages you think we had in 2014. I was super surprised to learn that it's about 60.3 hours. Because I've never been affected by any of these outages. I read about the big ones, but again, it didn't affect me. And when I compared this then to a report I found about cloud outages, I was really surprised to see that, for example, Azure has an outage of, let's say, 10 hours and 50 minutes versus the 60 hours plus we had in electricity. But there's a parallel. Just as with electricity and Azure, it never has been all of Azure or all of electricity of Switzerland that was being offline. It was really just affecting a certain region or certain services within a region. Then when we go further to the 70s, that's when the whole third industrial revolution started. And it was nonetheless than the computer. Not the PC as I show in the picture, but the computer in itself, the computer, the microchip. And it allowed with the mainframe for big companies to make this huge investment, build their own data center. And also here it's interesting when you think about from the mainframe time and age when it all started till today how far we have come. Back then everybody had to build their own data center, have to own their own mainframes. And today we have the technology that we need to actually produce centralized compute, storage, network and distribute it over longer distances. And we actually talk about similar questions than they have talked back in the days. We had early adopters and followers, and everybody was asking the same question. What if there is not enough electricity that I need? What if there is an outage? It created a dependency just as it does with your cloud provider. What if there is not enough compute or if the cloud provider is offline? Your business is affected and therefore you have this dependency. But the only layer that we now talk about when we talk about cloud is obviously data privacy. Then earlier this year in January, I think it was, Professor Klaus Schwab released his book about the fourth industrial revolution. Now he's the founding father of the World Economic Forum and really a big visionary when it comes down to where we're going. And he's talking about that the fourth industrial revolution will come at a speed and a force and an impact like anything ever else we have ever seen before. Meaning the fourth industrial revolution will make the other three look like kindergarten. So it's really going to be interesting where this is going, and I think most people don't even are able or capable to even think on the edge of the change we're standing with this fourth industrial revolution. Now, if you don't have time to read a book, I encourage you to go on YouTube, search for it. There will be a video somewhere. It's about 12 minutes. It's on the World Economic Forum YouTube channel that you can watch. Just watch out because, for example, when I showed it to my mom, she told me that she's super happy about that. She doesn't have to live that long to experience it all because it's really freaky what we as humankind are already capable of doing today. If we would summarize the book, then we could say there is like three layers he's talking about. There's the physical layer, which is robotics, self-driving cars and 3D printing. Then there's biological, genetic treatments, medicine, diagnostics. And then there's the digital layer, which affects all of us, which is IoT, blockchain, and disruptive business models. Now, when you hear disruptive business model, I'm sure your brain is jumping to Uber or Airbnb, and you're afraid that I'm going to talk about it. And I actually will. But I do want to give you a new point of view, especially about Uber. when you think just for yourself about all the headlines you read about Uber, what is the biggest risk or the biggest challenge they're facing right now in their business model? And it's the question if the driver are actually our employees or not. That's the reason why they get sued over and over again and sometimes are not allowed to operate in the city. Now, when we go to the first layer, which is physical and self-driving car, and think about how far is Tesla, how far is Google, how far is Swisscom in Switzerland, or let's say our neighbors in the north, Germany, how far are they? So it is really just a question of time till the law and regulations catch up and actually make the legal framework that we have like self-driving cars. But even if we have self-driving cars, we still need an application where we can order service, tell them where we want to go, and then actually pay for the transaction. And Uber has the largest user base, and they're in the pole position to just take over as soon, city by city, state by state, or country by country, we make it legal for self-driving car. So it's just a question of time for them, which raises another question: is the cab driver the lift boy from tomorrow? Because some of you may remember, but there was a time where every elevator had a lift boy. And so it's really important that we also think about those. There will be jobs that disappear, but also where we can actually create new jobs in this fourth industrial revolution for everybody. But that raises a very important question, and that is for you. Where is the next disruption in your business or in your industry that you're in? What is coming along your way? And this is very important, and it actually requires you to have maybe a change of mind where you really have to ask and say, okay, what can technology do, or how can technology empower my business in my industry to actually have a competitive advantage and to actually stay relevant in this fourth industrial revolution. The good news is I know as a fact, as a Microsoft employee, that all over the world there is people like me waiting to work with you on that and on the question how our technology can empower your business to achieve more. So I thank you for your time you've taken to watch this video. I look very much forward for your feedback, so feel free to leave some comments. I'm going to try to get back to you as soon as possible, and I really wish you the most of success for your own digital transformation.